The meeting to order, and let's have roll call.
Agnes Fornarski,
Present.
Dana Syvertson,
Here.
Ed Madden,
Over here.
Peter Hahn,
Here.
Seth Marcus.
Here.
I'm Jill Moskell. John Kamish is absent, but we have a quorum.
Okay. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of January 10th, 2019.
I make the motion that we accept the minutes as so duly crafted by Jill Musko.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great job, Joe.
Thank you, Dana.
As always,
Yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
good work. Mucho goodo.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to old business, the PHNRC 5th anniversary.
Yay. We're 5 years old today.
Yeah.
Last
On the
Sunday,
10th.
actually.
Actually, on the 10th, on February 10th.
Yes.
Marks the 5-year anniversary of PHNRC.
So we had a really nice turnout. We got a lot of work done. It was really amazing to think back that long ago that we've been in existence for 5 years. It's really, it's a major accomplishment, I think. The things we've accomplished over the last 5 years, just putting the Wild Things presentation together, and reflecting back on everything that we've done has just been incredible. I say hooray us, and look forward to the next year.
Right.
I second that.
Okay.
Anything to add?
No,
Thank you,
it's just-
Agnes and Carrie, for having the vision to do this too, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of passion there.
Yeah. Okay, update on workday schedules. So this past Sunday, we were at the SLU for our anniversary, and then the next couple of workdays will likely be at the SLU. We want to return to Morava when the ground thaws to put in that interpretive signage. I was thinking even to work on that finger. We've been waiting for, the SLU was frozen, but then it was too, like, not that it was too frozen, but it was really cold to work out there during a workday. But if we can get to a point where the water is actually frozen, it's not too cold to work out there, we can get a lot of those shoreline, you know, the buckthorn resprouts there. So I'm going to try to see if I can do that even this weekend, get it ready for the next workday. Otherwise, we'll be somewhere along the
One thing
slope.
we should definitely recommend to our volunteers is, if we're going to be working on the ice, to bring some type of shoe grips or, if I would have known, I didn't realize we were doing that, I would have brought a pair. I actually took a pretty
Yeah.
bad fall.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I saw you fall.
And it still hurts, my back hurts pretty bad, but the irony is I have a pair of kind of boot grips that, you know, are made for walking on ice, but, so if we know we're doing that kind of in the thing, just remind people.
Yeah.
Bring that if they're gonna be out there. And we had a couple other volunteers that,
Yeah. The problem was that the water came up, you know, the water level was high, and so it came up almost on the banks, and then it froze.
Yeah.
Right.
and then just to check too for just general safety, do we have or are we able to get some type of first aid kit?
We have it's always in the van. There's always a first aid kit
And we
in
have
the
a
van.
doctor on staff.
Well,
But we have a first
Or
aid,
two.
no, we do have a first aid kit in the van at
And a
all times.
radiologist if has to
Right.
read anything.
Right.
And
But that's a good
genetic
idea.
counts.
I'm sure that counts. And everybody else. No, it was a little, you know, and I guess it's important in the beginning of the workdays too, to let people know, you know, whoever can do that part of the work, but, you know, there's other areas too that were there that, and I saw that people did do that. They didn't go out in the ice where they knew it was a little bit more dangerous. They stayed over here.
Well, I found from the buzzsaw cutting, what's the word?
Like the chips from
The chips,
Mhm.
it made it slipperier.
Yeah, right. So, next couple of workdays are on the SLU, I think. Okay, presentation to the Park District. Sal?
John is apparently going to work on some slight modification of what I had presented previously.
Okay.
And then we hope to make the presentation in 2 weeks to the Park District.
Okay, it's on the 26th, on a Tuesday.
So we should attend if we can. and
Right.
support.
Definitely,
March 26th?
In February.
February 26th. So it'll be the Tuesday after Wild Things. It'll also be Tuesday after our next workday. Anything, I don't know if we want to look at it before or just,
It would be nice to have a chance to review it, but, I mean, everybody's schedule is really tight, so
yeah.
I don't know if time's gonna permit to have that happen, but if we can, it'd be great.
When do you think you're going to have it ready by?
Well, John and I have been exchanging texts, including today. You know, he wanted to soften some of the proposal that I had put out, and he said he's working on that.
Okay. All right, we'll see.
He's back tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just let us know if we need any help with it or anything else.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else about that? No. Okay, Library Park District Programming. Nature Speaks.
Okay, Nature Speaks. We have signed Terry Mazzell for April 16th, which is also going to be a sort of the lead event for Earth Week. He's going to be talking about the rusty patch bumblebee and its endangered status. We have seen part of that presentation. He's a just really, really good speaker. It will be a really terrific presentation. He's also going to introduce a few other things, information about other
Species.
sorts of bees, other species, but primarily it's going to focus on the rusty patch bumblebee.
And who is he associated with?
He's associated with Fermilab.
Oh, right.
I've heard of them.
We saw him present at the Grasslands conference. We said, we got to get that guy. So we were able to do that. The nature camp for the Park District, the status of that is that we're doing 10th week. We're supposedly only 3 days of that 10th week. It's a nature-driven curriculum, and
Ages 5 to 11 years old.
yeah, 5 to 11. And we originally, at least we did, we had the idea that we would visit more than one site. And so in writing the copy for the Park District publication, they came back to us and said, no, we're not going to do multiple sites, that they would look to have it just at the nature preserve.
And we used yours, Seth, what you came up with. We
Okay.
just modified it, added to it, and added some things. And we don't have any, like, concepts completely about, we don't have a
Right, well, what I
timeframe or-
responded to them was, the birds are at the slough, the prairie's a completely different experience, and was there any possibility of busing to those other 2 sites? So you maybe spend 1 day at each of the 3 sites, I think would be way more interesting for the kids. That said, we could certainly do 3 days at Marava if we have to.
If we have to. We also have to
So
come
I-
up with a rain day just in case.
Right, so I had written back to them again tonight, because I hadn't heard back from them on whether or not that was going to be acceptable, and I sent them a bunch of pictures of the other sites so they could get an idea of what it would be like for the kids. But I haven't heard back whether that's gonna be okay, and then leave the copy the way it is, or modify it to be based at Marava for 1 whole day, or 3 days,
What would be the 3 sites, the Slough, Nature's
Right.
Reserve, and
and the Prairie, Comment Prairie.
Comment Prairie? And what dates are we looking at? Is it 3 days in a row?
Yeah, it's 3 days in a row. It's the last week of summer camp. It's called 10th week. I'm not sure the dates. I have
In
them
August.
somewhere.
Oh, in August?
Yeah, it's in August.
It is in August, and traditionally, it's the camp, it's the catch-all camp for parents who aren't going anywhere with their kids, and they still have to have their kids be in a
School
camp.
hasn't started yet.
School hasn't started yet, so
Do we have a
that's,
ballpark number of approximately how many students?
no. It
No.
could be 3 to 11. So we just don't know.
It depends on registration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. But typically, they don't get a lot for that week, and so they said, they told you 3 to 11, right?
Right.
Approximately in the past, that's how many have signed up.
Would it be all day each day? Or are we talking a few
I think it's till like
hours?
3 o'clock or something.
Okay.
It's only like 3 or 4 hours or something like
I
that.
don't know.
Sorry, I don't.
For, one thing we can consider, for a while, we had sort of a ring of tree stumps,
Yes.
you know, where you have
Yeah.
a setting circle.
Right. Yeah, that's a nice place, that would be great. Mm-hmm,
Yeah, I could see Ed out there in the creek doing waders too.
right. Oh,
Easily.
definitely, yeah. Doing a sort of a river watch, macroinvertebrate sampling with buckets and waders and getting in there and getting a little dirty and looking at the critters, have a little microscope nearby
Mm-hmm.
And we have those boxes from,
from from river trails. That's an excellent idea. Yeah.
And what presentation of sets were you referring to?
Not a presentation, just he sent us an idea for just the, Description.
Yeah,
of the nature.
course
Oh,
description.
I see.
Just a course description.
So we basically just modified it to include, it would be led by commissioners and interns,
Got it.
because there was no reference to that, so.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting back for Park District to modify it one way or the other. And then,
We'll email everybody,
we'll let you all know.
and then any more ideas. But as soon as we have more details, I think we can start to zone in on what we're gonna do.
Mhm. The bird walks have been set, the copy was released a long time ago. I just reconfirmed with Lee and Mary Lou, they're both very excited about it. They will be April 27th, and that will be the anchoring event to Earth Week, like it traditionally is.
Well, Earth Week starts the 22nd.
Right.
Right.
So it's the anchor event.
Got it.
And then the other one is May 11th, and they're from 7:30 in the morning to 9:30. And they're very excited about
Me too.
it. Any questions about any of that?
No.
Okay, then I'll move on to the nature preserve signs. I think I sent the photos to everyone of the actual signs that came in. They're really high-quality products. They look really good. Can't wait to get them out there and get them installed. So that'll be a real asset to the project and finally be the completing sort of factor.
Mm.
And I think it becomes almost a prototype for anything else we want to do from that point forward.
It's the same signs that they use at Volo Bog. They're updated new signs. How are we gonna, what about like placement? I mean, we could think about it, it's not time yet for that, but
Mhm.
we have discussed a little bit about placement and where exactly. But I think more on, being there on site and making those decisions is probably
And the only two that we know where they go are the
The
two.
beginning.
the beginning and the end.
The beginning and the end.
Right,
And where the other ones go is up for grabs.
right. We should probably discuss it before we actually put them in,
Oh, yeah,
or,
of course.
yeah.
absolutely.
there's still time. We need the ground to be completely thawed, so might not be
I
April.
think what I'll do is I'll send everybody a picture of the signs, and then at your leisure,
That's
between
fine.
now and the ground defrosting, just sort of think about walking the trail and where you think those
Right.
signs might be
Yeah.
appropriate to be installed.
Or if you happen to be out there
Yeah.
walking, then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great
I'll
idea.
include a little map of the walk as well, so you that'll make it easy.
You can even print out the map and then put little X's
Right.
there, and then we can discuss that. That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else about that? No, okay. Moving on, increased public access plan for Hillcrest Lake and the slough, and the grant application for Boardwalk. So, I know we had discussed our previous budget, but I was thinking, because we came up with this great plan for increased public access, and that included a boardwalk, and we sort of all know that boardwalk, it would be a great addition to the slough, especially when, on those wet days where it's difficult to get through there. And so I was thinking, if we wanted to add that to our budget proposal, or modify our budget proposal to include that. And everybody received an email about that, and I think we can discuss that.
Yeah, a little more specifics about the grant. what we would be looking for, and you saw in the budgets and the information that I forwarded to you, that essentially we'd be applying for a very small open lands grant of matching grant of a total of $6,000.
In the past, we've done $20,000, so we've had 5,000 Park District, 5,000 city,
So
and
in
then
this
ComEd.
case, we would be asking the city for 3,000 in our budget and reducing the number of interns down to 2 as a trade-off there. For the $6,000, we'd be approximately able to generate 466 linear feet of boardwalk for that amount.
I think we need a little bit more of an exact,
Well, of course, it's a rough number, just so you
Very
know what
rough,
we're talking
right.
about. I mean, obviously, we're not going to submit a grant unless it's specific,
Do
right?
we, is that enough?
it was 400
for that?
feet,
Okay.
I don't know how far that would
but
go.
linear
in
feet,
terms of-
is that the width?
No, linear feet, meaning length.
Okay, but then
So-
what's the width?
The width would be like 33 inches.
Okay.
Just
What
under
w-
3 feet.
We counted and, with Seth or we measured it, I mean, and it was about 450 feet.
So it would pretty much cover it.
But it may not. And even if it's partial boardwalk, because we have to look at everything
Mhm.
too, you know?
Yeah.
But even if we could do part of it, even half of it, even
Yeah,
two-thirds of
Seth had
it.
a good idea of keeping it all floating, which is really easy to incorporate, so, yeah, absolutely.
And we can
It's
get
kind
an,
of tethered to guidelines, and
Eagle Scout Eagle Scout,
that would be
that would be the best way to
priority
do
was
it, to
you could
make
actually
it,
double up and catch up on that one.
right, so that we could have the manpower to put it together, and really all it would be is just the supplies.
Yeah, the plan would be to build them in modular sections, and then go out and set the metal posts in the slough, and then sections walk out and just drop down onto the posts, and they float up and down on the 4 posts.
They won't float away?
No, because they would be on posts that would be 2 to 3 feet higher,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, and there's, I'm sure, some permitting requirements, but that could be worked out later. I mean, if we get the grant, would be in June that we'd know about it. I don't think that would be an issue. I mean, they have these boardwalks in wetlands everywhere, so, you know, see how it,
Well, the one thing I would suggest is if we are looking for it to be an Eagle Scout project, the more that we can leave it up to whomever that person is. And I would like to point out, as of yesterday, girls are now eligible for Eagle Scout projects.
Yes. As of yesterday.
Yeah, it's no longer
Nice.
Boy Scouts, it's Scouts
Nice.
USA,
Yeah.
or BSA, but we want to make sure that there's some leadership roles and things that
Right.
that person would need to do
Yeah.
as a part of that project.
Well, we can incorporate some interpretive signage into it, and then, you know, as far as, and then it would have to be, and they could lead the whole, you know, they could have other materials donated, maybe so that part of it could be funded for interpretive signage, part of it, they can get lumber, you know, to make it like as much of a project, or as much as they can with that, with the funds that are there already, but then also whatever they can come up with. I think it can work.
Okay.
This is perhaps also a good opportunity to mention that you mentioned the scouts and like, I've had a very good response from Wheeling High School.
Mhm.
They're very enthusiastic about getting students involved. They want to do a field trip in early spring
Okay.
to have the students come out and sort of almost as a reconnaissance to get ideas about what they could be doing.
Cool.
They hope to do a program this spring, but they are very confident they will do a bigger program in the fall.
Okay.
Right now, there's, in the fall, they have an environmental studies class that will be involved. But for now, they're hoping to get other students involved as well. So it's looking very promising.
Oh, that's
That's
really
great
great.
news, man.
Yeah. Just let us know how that works out, or what you need and when, and
Yeah.
how to organize that. That's great.
And perhaps, you know, in terms of different projects they can get involved with, perhaps Boardwalk might be one.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. And, if we would get this grant, we would have 2 years to execute it, too. So it's not something that gets done, overnight. I just thought it'd be nice to continue on the project when we talk about all these plans and then we present them, but, this could be a way to actually get it accomplished.
So is there restrictions on the grants going to the same organization?
Not anymore. Mm-mm. No. We've actually been encouraged to apply for a
Yes.
grant because our previous projects have been so successful and they've come out to see, they actually have come out to see the projects and they sort of used us as a model for
The guy
other
from
organizations.
Openlands said, "You guys are the gold standard."
The gold standard for the grant. He did say that. He did.
So let's parlay that right into the budget discussion.
Can I just add one thing?
Yep.
I am proud, of course, but I think what we do with these grants is we really use the money to like the best advantage. And then we put in so much of our own work and we even grow like $10,000 worth of more plants and include that into it. So it's sort of, I guess it becomes impressive what we can do with the amount of money that we're granted. That's all I want to say.
So if the remodified budget that we sent out for everyone to take a look at had reduced in anticipation of the application for a grant, we reduced the number of summer interns to 2, looking as a trade-off for a $3,000 matching grant for the SLU. So one possibility is to leave it like that, and then we approve that. The other possibility is to put a qualifier in there, that if we don't get the grant, then we'd like to go back to 3 interns. And I don't know whether that's something we can actually do. I mean, we could propose it to the city, but I'm not sure how that would be viewed, but, I'd sure hate to, lose the possibility of a 3rd intern if we could get it. But I would gladly trade one of those, at least I would, for a matching grant to do boardwalk. So that would require, if we wanted to put that either or language in there, we could certainly do that in this budget. It would need modified. Or we can approve it just as it is drawn here. So I think we need to open that up for discussion and then decide how to do it, and then I'll modify the documents and get them to Peter.
So, do we know, like, we know when the deadline is to apply. Do we know when?
Around March
they're likely to
15th.
know that? When they're likely to announce?
June. So the application deadline is typically around March 15th, and they announce it at end of June.
And that's well after our budgets.
Well after, yeah.
I definitely would recommend that we do have a or, in the budget, because, yeah, if it does fall through,
Is that,
is there still time for us to get an
is that considered submitting 2 budgets then, if we have a qualifier?
You can submit 2 budget proposals.
You can?
Yeah, you can submit as many budget proposals as you want, and you just have to explain to them why you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that would be the way to do it?
Yeah.
What I would do is, whatever you guys decide here, do either 1 or 2 budget proposals, whatever you guys decide on, and that's what we presented to the council for their approval.
But they're only gonna approve one, right?
Well, when you go to the meeting, you
Right.
stipulate, our first choice is budget A,
Mhm.
with whatever you have in it. And if we can't get that, our second choice is budget B. I mean, it could come to a point where they don't approve either budget A or budget B, but a portion of one of those budgets. So
But I would say there's a caveat on that, because that's a little bit different than what you're describing. We want to have flexibility after the fact. And so we can't submit 2 budgets, one is with 3 interns and one is with that. They're going to be approving one or the other.
Right.
We're not,
We want them to approve a budget that will allow us the flexibility of that line.
I see what you're saying. Is that possible, Peter?
you'd have to get approval by the council.
Sure.
That would be a discussion you'd have at the time of the budget discussion.
But it would be very clear that that money would be used for one or the other.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right. I think, me personally, that's why I think it should be done, but.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we can't do the other is if they approve one, say with the 3 interns, but not the one with the grant, because we don't know about that, well, then we can't later turn around and find out that we've got the grant and now we need to switch it over. It wasn't the budget that was approved.
So you're saying that that $3,000 line item would be to apply for the grant or have 3 interns?
Mhm.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
It's a difference of
For a third.
of roughly $1,500.
Right.
I understand, but, so I think we would have one budget proposal to them, but for that line item, it would be for either a grant match or for an additional intern.
Okay. We can also make it a $4,500 grant and include interpretive signage and the full boardwalk, 100% done, 450 feet, and we know we've covered. And then there's no discrepancy in the amount. So it's $4,500 for the grant or $4,500 for an intern.
Would that take care of it, Peter? Say it's gonna be,
Yeah, and again, as long as you specify it that way, and the
Yeah.
council approves it that way.
all right,
If the council approved 3 interns, like Ed was saying, and then you said, no, we don't want the 3rd intern, we want to use this 4,500 for this,
Can't do it.
technically, you would have to go back to the council to get approval for that, because they've approved that line item
Right.
for an intern.
But it would be easier, let's say if they approved the grant and then we didn't get the grant, the money's still set aside. Could we go back then to council and say, well, can we get that intern?
As long as the council's aware of that.
Right.
Only for the
Yeah, we would make that-
We did that this year
Mhm.
with the 1,300,
right.
but it was such a small amount of money, it really didn't cost, it really shouldn't cost a blip. But I'll tell you right now, council members, if you tell them that, they'll be like, well, that's not what we approved. So you could get some pushback on that. So
Okay.
definitely be upfront.
All right, we'll make it an either or and qualify it. All right.
Should we,
So then the proposal that Ed is coming up with here is that and we put, instead of listing $3,000 for the grant, we would make that 4,500. The grant we would submit for would be 9,000.
mhm,
And then we would explain to, in the cover letter for the budget, that the $4,500 would be, the first priority for using that $4,500 would be for the grant. So if we were successful in getting the grant, the money would go there. If we were not successful, then we would fund that 3rd intern position.
And are we gonna have a quick turnaround time to hire somebody in June?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, we're gonna know I don't know, when do they announce?
June.
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 But we're, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could fill that position.
Okay, all right.
Now, what about the line item up at the top, 2 summer interns? Does that stay?
That would stay.
Okay.
and
so we would
then-
have 2 separate budgets though, right?
No,
No.
it's one
One
budget.
budget.
So that we have the flexibility of just swapping it out.
Okay.
And tell them that there's the possibility that we swap this out.
Right,
Because the funding for the grant is conditional,
right.
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
Except to stress that we have a strong likelihood of getting it.
Very strong
So
likelihood.
it's not likely that it would go to a 3rd intern,
Right.
you know, for those reasons that
Yeah.
you stated. You know, first of all, they asked us to apply. That doesn't probably happen too often.
Yeah.
But also to stress the level of confidence they've had in our commission, you
Right.
know.
Okay.
Should we mention some kind of a plan for or something about the boardwalk, or just in the
I don't
cover
know.
letter?
In the
Yeah.
cover
Okay.
letter. And then we're gonna have to give a presentation, so it'll all be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I make the motion that we approve our budget as just discussed. I'll modify the documents and then submit them to everybody for a final approval. But in order to sign off on it, I think we need to approve
Well,
this.
I would just structure that we're approving it with the modifications that we discussed.
Okay,
So
so I
that
make
there's
the
no,
motion that we approve the budget that we have drafted with the pre-discussed modifications.
Yes, approved.
no second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need a roll call? I mean,
No.
no, okay.
All right, so
All right,
that's
great.
approved.
And thank you, Dana, for all your work on it.
Sure. My pleasure. Good.
The PHNRC strategic planning. So it's still on the agenda, but I think we should keep it on because We're still going to be working on it. There's a lot going on right now, so it's sort of in the back burner, but, you know.
Our
so-
last meeting, we said we were tabling it until after Wild Things, so, done.
Yeah, Wild Things is a big deal. There's a lot of prep for that, so. Excuse me. Then the next one is city civic meetings and PHNRC representation reporting. And, ooh, that's Jill. Maybe something to say about that?
Well, I mean,
No.
E should actually be D under
E
that
should be
civic
Yeah.
meeting, so.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll go ahead and start. The
the Hillcrest Lake.
Hillcrest Lake Committee, everybody knows that the mayor and Joe Wade asked me to submit an application to be part of that committee. City council met and they refused my position on the council. The council's, or the mayor's point was that the SLU needed to be represented on that, and the council's position was that I didn't live on the affected area. I think the argument would have been better made from the perspective of having somebody who has an eye on the big picture, someone who, I mean, first of all, everybody who has anything to do with Prospect Heights is going to be affected by this project, okay? So even the people that don't live here, that drive up and down that road all the time, are going to be affected by that project. We live on Marion, of course, and we don't touch one of the streets affected because we are part of the NRC and we work here every single day. We're totally affected by it. So I really find the decision to not have the NRC represented on the committee to just be, my opinion, just sort of short-sighted. That said, the mayor approved them. In the last council meeting, they approved the guy who lives on the lake and bought Aaron Peterson's old house. And so the committee is set like that. So that will be another committee that will need to monitor the goings-on there. And
How many people are on that
we'll see
committee?
what happens. 5.
And they all live on the lake?
No.
2 of them live on the lake, and then it's
There's
2,
2 residents,
2 aldermen,
and mayor.
not the
When you say
mayor,
they're,
Joe Wade, I thought.
Joe Wade.
Joe Wade.
you said that they're supposed to monitor the goings-on, what is their task? In other words, is it connected to natural resources? Is it-
No,
what is
no,
it?
my interpretation is they're supposed to be the liaison between the project and the public. So answer questions, disseminate information,
Give recommendations to the council.
stuff like that.
Recommendations about
The road raising,
right,
the reconstruction of Willow Road.
so there would be some overlap about our kinds of recommendations and their kinds of recommendations?
I would hope not, because ours is completely different. You know, we're there to look at the overall impact of it in the entire watershed, and the environment, and the habitat, the wildlife, make sure that nothing goes crazy there. My
So-
understanding is they're concerned about their lawns and the temporary roads and all the rest of it.
Who are do we know the names of the 2 people living on the lake? You said the person who
Tim
bought.
Kupchik,
Tim Kupchik, and you know the.
Nick Colomb.
Nicole, COLB, I think it is.
So
And
that's.
and you
the-
said 2 aldermen and the mayor, or you mentioned Joe
No,
Wade?
Joe Wade,
Joe Wade.
not the mayor.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Which I think is, fine, but I think we should,
When do they meet? Do we
I
know?
don't think they have set that up yet.
This meeting's gonna be, not next week, the week after. We'll have it on the website shortly.
Okay,
I just got the agenda today.
got it.
Do they have a name?
The ad hoc Willow Road,
Ad hoc? Willow Road. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to be present or just watch the minutes or,
No, I
Oh.
think we should have a presence at the meeting. If we can afford the time.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Too bad that John's not here, but I know that he lives on the lake as well. He's very interested in all of this, so maybe he would be willing to attend those meetings.
So it's really not Hillcrest Lake Committee?
No, it's Ad hoc Willow Road.
Okay.
Anything else about that?
Nope.
Okay. Should we move on then to the
Yeah.
next one?
McDonald Creek.
Yes, McDonald Creek Commission meeting.
The McDonald Creek Commission met on January 22nd. They started the meeting by giving an update on the beavers. The beaver situation in our area received a lot of social media commentary, plus Kathy Brady, chairperson of MCC, received emails and phone calls. MCC would have liked the situation to play out a bit, at least for 1 year. They also felt the beaver dams could have created a wetland to slow down the velocity of the creek flow, helping the creek downstream. A wetland holds more water than turf grass. However, the McDonald Creek Commission understands the time commitment of Prospect Heights Public Works staff to continually remove the dams and understood their priorities. It is a balancing act of nature. Next, they discussed their goals and plans for the year. They felt their main responsibilities are McDonald Creek erosion and flooding. They also are concerned about sewer, roads, and stormwater. They wish to be proactive in reducing flooding in our town. They mentioned Ann Arbor, Michigan, providing credits to residents for installing rain barrels, creating a rain garden, cistern, and/or dry well, and commercial properties receiving credits on their sewer bills for installing pervious surfaces. So they chatted about the city of Prospect Heights perhaps taking this approach with our residents and giving vouchers to residents who take these similar actions. McDonald Creek Commission identified that reducing the amount of runoff longer term is a concern. No dams and blockages in the creek from now into the future would be ideal. The city could charge a permit fee, perhaps of like $500 for an asphalt driveway, as opposed to just $200 for someone installing a pervious surface driveway. The city could subsidize a permit for establishing a green infrastructure. McDonald Creek Commission also felt that newer residents are not aware of city codes, such as residents cannot drain sump pumps and gutters into the swales. Their water should stay on their property. Next, McDonald Creek Commission discussed initiating a creek cleanup the week of April 21st through the 28th. Residents would be requested to clean up the creek on their property, such as trimming vegetation and removing garbage. If a resident needed assistance, McDonald Creek Commission would be there to help. For larger tree limbs, the Public Works Department could perhaps help. McDonald Creek Commission would also request residents to take before and after photos of the debris removed and photos of the creek and email it to them. An exact date for the creek cleanup week would be confirmed after Rick Harty and John Kinseth of the McDonald Creek Commission would meet with Mark Roscoe. Lastly, they chatted about cooperation with our commission, and I personally would like to see us have a cooperative relationship, and perhaps we could discuss scheduling a meeting with them to let them know that we are here to work together and help with the same idea and vision for the city. Their next meeting is February 26th.
How would it work if the two committees wanted to meet together and have to be a
Well,
public
just-
forum?
Just to say,
If you wanted to do two, or two from this committee and two from that committee, that's fine. If you do any more than that, then it's a quick meeting, you have to have an agenda and publish it.
Which is not a bad idea, combined meeting. But it's probably simpler to have two representatives.
Right.
Or you could have a joint meeting.
Yeah.
Everyone sits at theirs.
Yeah.
I don't know who chair it, how you run it, but then come up with a time. They meet, what time do they meet?
6 p.m. 6 p.m.
I think they're
on
changing.
fourth Tuesday, 7
How many of them, do we have enough chairs? Do we have to play musical musical chairs first.
No, we
No,
probably have a
we could sit out there. Well, one thing we
No.
could do is put our, I mean, yeah, I mean, we could put ourselves on the agenda and, you know, discuss it openly.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
You know, then we're just openly discussing concept ideas, what they think, and we could ask to be put on their agenda
Yeah.
and have a meeting about.
Areas of common interest.
Mm-hmm.
How to proceed? You want to reach out to Kathy Brady?
Me?
Either one of you?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay, see how she feels about that.
Okay.
That would be a good idea. Then we could all just discuss it together openly. Everybody feel like that's a good idea? I think since it's our idea, we should probably attend their meeting. Not have them come to our meeting.
True,
Right,
Sure.
yeah.
okay. So probably like maybe March or something.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, next, okay, so moving along with about the beavers and Somerset Park, you know, I think I'd like to leave beavers on the agenda for a while, because even though they're gone, I think it's really important to keep this moving along and trying to figure out a solution for the future when the next family moves in or the next beavers move in, so that we already have a plan in place, you know, maybe. And this could be over the next several months, over the next year. It could be, you know, multiple things we could do, but we could look at permitting for those PVC pipes, the bypass valves, the flow devices. You know, we could reach out to council, Public Works, I mean, something so that when the next beavers move in, wherever that is, and it's probably going to be Somerset Park, then maybe we have more options, I guess.
Should we be monitoring the creek? Should we ask McDonald Creek Commission to keep us informed so we can work together?
That's a great idea.
Mhm.
No, we could bring that up
Okay.
if we meet with them, sure. We have reached out to Christina Ferraro from the Park District to see if we could at least naturalize a portion of the creek over there, for multiple reasons, but, you know, there was this big project that didn't go through because of the expense of the project, the funding, but we certainly can, even if it's 10 feet or 20 feet right by the creek. And I think that the McDonald Creek Commission would be interested in something like that too, because it, you know, filters, absorbs, and prevents erosion. But if we could naturalize that area just a little bit, 10, 20 feet. And she said that she would ask the pastor there at the church and then bring it up at their next Park District Board meeting.
So is that privately owned property then?
So the property is owned by the Park District for anywhere from, I think, 20 to 50 feet, because it's an irregular shape. And then so right next to the creek is owned by the Park District, and that's what they mow as well and maintain. And then the rest of the land up there by the church is owned by the church, and they mow that area.
So the land, I know has like a higher part and then sort of scoops down and is even with the creek.
Mm-hmm.
The part that's even with the creek, not all of that is owned by the.
No, that's
Not
Park
all of it.
District.
And
All
not,
Park District.
Yeah,
well, not, I mean, there's a definitely a,
the upper section is closer to.
where
the
it
church.
starts going up the hill a little
Yeah.
bit, that's where the church
But that's more
goes.
than 20 feet.
Right, that's what I was
Oh, yeah, it's more than 20 feet away, yes.
So
It's, so
the-
like I said,
No.
20 to 50, there's a point at the very edge where it's only 20 feet.
But
Where
if
it-
we were doing a 20-foot naturalization, we're not
We're
on
not-
their property.
We're not anywhere near
Although it's not a bad idea to reach out to them.
for only that reason.
Right.
Yeah,
But it wouldn't be necessarily,
not because it would be on their
Legal,
property,
right.
no. Mm-mm. No. Yeah. What do you guys think about
yeah,
that?
I think it's a good idea.
Sure.
Sure.
You know, why not?
I think it's an excellent opportunity for so many reasons. And as I've talked about before, I think the members of the public that had concern about flooding, I think with education, this is a win-win. I think we can inform the public and educate the public that this actually helps with flooding.
I think it's an opportunity too to engage the community, and, if we had work days out there, we could engage the neighbors, and we've been able to build community in that way in the other areas too.
Well, and if we're ever asked to apply for another grant, I mean, that could be a really quality area to do something.
Mhm.
It seems like we were called, a little bit late on the beaver issue. I don't know if there's any way to get us notified sooner so we could, get some input into it
Yeah,
before any decisions are made, give us a week or two at least.
But I
right.
think that's why we need to be proactive
Mhm.
now about and keeping it on, because quite frankly, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but
That if, with the beavers reappear, that we're all gonna be called in
That's true.
to consult on it.
But this is to try to get way ahead of that. This is
Yeah.
to try
Right.
to naturalize
Yeah.
the area.
Mhm.
So that there's a plan.
We'll be ready.
so there's a plan, figure out what the permitting is for the flow devices, so we know exactly what needs to happen, what we need to do, so we can expedite it, or we can even have those permits in place. And so if they come, when they come, then at least maybe
Plus
be on
from
the
a-
same page.
From a public outreach thing, that as soon as an issue's identified, that the residents know, okay, so here's the plan. Instead of like, oh, just, we need to get them out of here because of the flooding, saying, well, we're thinking about putting this in. They're like, no, get rid of them. It would be very proactively, not just with whomever, Park District, or the city of Prospect Heights, but with the residents as well.
Mhm.
So that when this is an option, that they're already familiar with
Right.
it.
A beaver management plan.
Yeah. Maybe we could have a beaver committee with the city.
Well, but a small beaver management plan, or in some form. I just think we should keep it on, and we shouldn't just say, okay, well, they're gone, forget it, all right, let's, because they're gonna be back, and I feel like we need to leave it on
And
there.
if not there, somewhere else. I mean,
Right.
we've had them between our
Mhm.
houses.
Right,
So,
yeah, or down by Wheeling.
mhm.
When we used to do the creek walks, we would see evidence of them down there, so. So those are those things about Somerset Park. Any other comments? Okay, next is Wild Things Conference.
Okay, Wild Things is progressing at light speed. Starting this weekend, we'll probably be ready to start having everybody come and practice their parts.
Why don't you tell everybody what you have so far?
What I have at this point is almost all the illustration for the presentation.
So you guys all got the outline.
So for the PowerPoint, you mean?
Yeah, for the
For the PowerPoint.
Right.
Yes.
So we have just
Got the outline?
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of really terrific photographs. And the idea is to fly through all that stuff in the beginning and get to the part where we're talking about how you can do this and what you have to do in order to make this work.
So we
What
need
were we looking at over the weekend?
any day, really.
Any day,
Yeah,
Whoever's
anytime.
available.
well, I know Sunday is definitely preferred for me.
Okay,
Sunday.
Sunday works for
Yeah,
me.
And not
Sunday's
early.
fine.
Not early. There's no work day on Sunday. I'm okay
Seth, would you be
Sunday.
available on Sunday?
Probably. Did you say we got an outline email to us?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you guys did. This goes
Like
way
a
back.
long time
oh,
ago.
from a while ago.
Like 3 months
Okay.
ago.
Oh, I thought you meant recent.
Right.
No, a long time ago. But Dana can send it again today.
Have you
To
changed
everybody.
it much?
It's expanded
Yeah.
because there's.
Expanded.
You know,
Yeah,
I'll
so-
I'll resend it tonight,
Right. Resend the
as
outline.
soon as I get home.
And then we'll start to maybe think about which
Who does
portion
which.
you would like to take, like which portion we'd like to talk about. There's no words there, there's no, it's just pictures, so you can,
The approach that I took to this point was to come up with the outline, this supports the abstract, okay? And then working through the outline, go ahead and illustrate the topic on that outline with the underlying notion that everybody who's speaking is going to just be storytelling. You should be able to look at the photos and tell the story related to that photo, as opposed to having a script that we have to follow.
Or you can have a script.
Now,
to read if you want
Your
to.
part would be, or we'll
Right.
create the script, but the bottom line is you're on stage for 8 minutes or something.
Each person gets 8 minutes.
Yeah, roughly 8 minutes, something like that. So everybody knows the project well enough in the photos, so it's just a matter of getting more familiar with the section you would have to, and then coming up with whatever the story is you want to tell. So if you need help, and this is, the first thing we have to do is just run through it and look at the pictures.
Run through it and then decide
And then-
who wants to take which
And
part.
decide who's gonna take which part,
Yeah, and so Sunday probably won't be good for me, actually.
Okay.
okay?
Um, So,
Saturday, and then all next week is wide open. There's nothing on the agenda but this for next week. And then I still am going to do the poster. We're doing the 3-foot by 4-foot poster for the poster sessions. That goes in the big auditorium. We found out through another email that it has to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, of the morning of, so,
It's Saturday, 23rd.
yeah,
Well, it starts
Come
at 8 anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
so can we maybe have an email go out proposing dates of, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night of next week?
Mhm.
Okay.
I most likely could do Tuesday night or Wednesday night or Thursday night.
Anytime
Friday
this
night.
weekend at all?
This weekend, probably, I can't.
No?
Okay, all right,
It'll
well,
be tight.
anybody that's available to work whenever they are,
Okay.
let's do it. 'Cause
Right.
We're there, we're available all the time.
It just, I mean, it's very little, it's next Saturday and everything.
Yeah.
So would you feel comfortable with us meeting on Sunday and then giving you a couple of options for your
Yes.
part?
Sure, definitely.
So that we can
Yep.
start the process
And in
going?
advance of that, I can send you,
Of course.
do you have
Right.
PowerPoint or you don't?
No.
All right, so I could, well, because you're not gonna be able to see the animations.
You can see it as a PDF. though.
Right.
But
Just give them an
it doesn't give you the animations.
It
I
doesn't,
understand, but. if
You
you
can
give
still
them
see the
an idea of what
pictures.
you're
Yeah,
but definitely send the copy of the
yeah, I'll
outline.
do it when you get home.
Because I think, Seth, if you can look
I
at the
just
outline.
gave it to him.
Oh, you just gave it, okay. So if you
Well,
can
but it's
look,
been modified, Jill, I'm sorry, from the
Oh.
original.
we're going to send it again
I'll send it to everybody
to
tonight.
everybody, the modified one. And if everybody can take a look at it and at least have an idea of which portion they would like to talk about, and then we'll email back and forth, even if we can't meet with you, Seth, we'll set up a time next week.
That's
But
great.
we can,
And we can work
Whoever
with
can.
anybody else who's available on their parts.
right.
Great.
All right, so, and then maybe you could work on yours on your own if you have to, and then
Yep.
when we all
And then we'll
come together,
meet.
then we'll be good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that's basically where we're at.
So-
Earth Week.
And then Ed, you wanted to meet on Sunday?
Yeah, well,
In the afternoon?
depending when on Saturday, I definitely can't do it Saturday.
Okay, Sunday,
Nor early.
maybe afternoon, Sunday afternoon? Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be great. All right, we'll do that.
You let us know.
Sunday I'm relatively flexible after 4 p.m. Yeah,
Well, that's okay, I mean, if that's.
Yeah,
what it is, that's all
anytime.
it is.
fine.
I'll make sure to set my alarm.
For noon.
No,
For 4.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Earth Week structure.
Okay, what I wanted to propose is, Easter is on April 21st.
I just looked at that.
And we
Yeah.
do have a workday.
I know.
So I don't know, I presume we would still proceed with the workday on Easter?
Well, we had a discussion about that tonight.
I think we
would
should
say-
discuss it.
I would say absolutely, but she said we probably ought to,
Reschedule it, I don't
Reschedule
know. I mean,
and maybe it could be moved to the Saturday before, or the
or
Sunday
the
before.
Saturday after, or the Sunday
The Sunday
after,
before.
Yeah, but the
Unless-
Sunday before is Palm Sunday,
Right.
which would be worse than Easter Sunday.
because I would be
Why would that
involved
be
with
worse?
services on Palm Sunday for sure. But on Easter, I could come after 10 o'clock, I would be there, if we still had the workday.
Maybe we start it later on Easter Sunday.
That's
What
a
do you think
thought,
about that?
that's a thought.
I just think everybody's going to be at church on Sunday.
I won't be there at all. Even if you made a 4 o'clock one for me.
But I thought it would be a nice way to start Earth Week, and
Well, the lead event will be
But
Yeah,
that's
the
before
speak-
Earth
the
Week.
the Tuesday before,
I understand.
which is Terry.
Right.
And talking about,
But Earth
Right.
Day is April 22nd,
Yes.
that
Correct.
Monday. So I also thought that perhaps we could reach out to Kids Care, reach out to MacArthur, reach out to Wheeling and say, hey, Earth Week is this week.
great idea.
Do you want to get together, do something, and then we could put that in the paper as well? Granted, all of us have work schedules, but coordinate something.
For one of those days during the week? Or are you talking about
Perhaps, or what-
Sunday?
or just put it out to them, hey, this is Earth Week.
Mhm.
You have any ideas? Do you want to do something? Let's collaborate. Have the kids come out, have an educational thing. We could have our interns.
We won't
previous-
have interns
We don't
yet.
have, well, I mean, the previous ones, maybe.
Oh, yeah, right, maybe, yeah.
And maybe even contact Carrie Spiegelhalter, see if she's available. But we have the bird walk then on that Saturday, correct?
Mhm,
And we
yes.
can make Kids Care and everybody else aware of that bird walk as well.
That's true, yeah. And MacArthur and everybody.
And if you didn't have the workday on the 21st on Easter, we could have it on the 28th. I
Well,
think that's a
typically what we
Sunday.
do is we send out on an email
28th, the following
announcement
Sunday.
that told of all the Earth Week events.
Correct, right.
So,
Well, what does everybody think? Should we keep it on Easter Sunday or move it a week later? Or change it to a Saturday? Anybody have any ideas? Jill's would be able to make it on Sunday. I'd be able to make it on Sunday, on Easter Sunday.
it's fine with me. I didn't
But-
see a need to move it, but.
But maybe we could start later. Maybe we could start at 10 a.m., go 10 to 2.
Well, I would think, I mean, if you start earlier, it's over, and then people can go be with their families.
That's true, too. And there is church in the afternoon, I'm sure. too. I don't know what's in the morning, but-
Often people are gonna have a big Sunday meal, Easter meal, they're not gonna have it at 9 in the morning, you know. they're not gonna
That's
have it.
true.
How about Saturday?
Well, that was one of the thoughts I had. The only problem is Agnes wouldn't be there because she has to work,
I have to work. Or
which is
day off,
okay,
but
but
it's,
she might not like.
I could take the day off, but it's a big deal for me to take a Saturday off, because it's like my busiest day of the week.
Well, we could think about it. Let's think
Okay.
about it. We have a little bit
We
more
have
time.
time. Sure. So those are the things to think about, and definitely some event during the week, too. I'm up on Wednesdays. We could do, if it's
Yeah,
something
Wednesday
involving
is a
this.
prime day to do something because.
With
you're-
kids, if we're talking about engaging the kids and some sort of a class activity,
Mhm.
then that Wednesday would work of Earth Week. And
You could reach out to Kelly right now.
yeah, I could reach out
Yes, ma'am.
to MacArthur, to, yeah, all the teachers that we've been working with and the Kids Care
And
Organization.
maybe the Wheeling High School, I mean, you mentioned their spring
Right.
activity, but this might be a nice introductory meeting.
Yeah,
When is spring break, by the way? Is it different for the grade schools and high school? Is it in March?
I don't know what it is this year. I didn't look at it. I'm not sure. I would have to look at a schedule.
So tentatively, the only thing we have going is the 26th for Terry Meisel talk, the Sunday workday unless we move it, and then the following Saturday bird walk.
Mhm.
And then tentatively, something with kids on Wednesday.
yeah. And then the McDonald Creek Commission is going to be having like their cleanup or something that week too, so that really ties in nicely, and maybe we could, if they, you know,
Correct.
if they need some help, or we can work together with them.
And invite them to our workday, too.
Yeah.
I know we have our website, but do we ever publish anything in the newspaper saying the Prospect Heights Natural Resources Commission has workdays every other Sunday? Here's their website. I think we should put something in the paper.
Well,
Are we
have-
permitted to do
I
that?
can tell you this, just in terms of getting anything printed, just to do that, it's not, we just don't apply. However, for the
Like bigger
The
interest
activities.
that we've got in the activity, that's always included in the press release too.
For instance, the email blast that we would send out for the entire Earth Week events, that's a story they would
Correct.
be interested in.
Correct.
And then it would publish the whole schedule.
Okay.
The only thing I can think of is possibly in the Daily Herald as a, just kind of like a community,
Neighborhood post or something?
yeah, it's
That
something
section.
along, but it's everything. It's, you know, all the churches that have some
Mhm.
type of
Mhm.
community outreach, you know, the garden clubs, the Kiwanis groups. I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. I haven't, it's not, probably won't hurt to do it. I mean, I think it just gets lost
Yeah.
in a lot of the other things, but it, you know, but I can tell you, we do include it with all of the releases that we do. And they don't print that every time, but they print it most of the
Right.
time.
So maybe this would be a good opportunity to get something in the Daily Herald.
Right.
And spring break, I just looked up, is in March for District 23, March 23rd to March 27th, so.
I haven't used the Nextdoor site. Is that a place where one would post something about a
Sure.
community meeting?
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah,
we
and
can,
that's, you know, that's the other thing, yeah, we kind of overlooked is the online, the
Right.
digital.
so can we?
Well, we have a Facebook page, it's just that we post things once a year, because we,
So is somebody using, we can maybe make it a regular thing that we post on Nextdoor?
Sure.
yeah, and we should really post on Facebook. We have like 200 followers on Facebook, but we don't,
So
because,
why don't we make a little bit of, copy
yeah,
that goes on both
Mhm.
Facebook and Nextdoor, every single.
right, who's gonna do that? It's tough enough to get everything ready for the workdays.
Well, isn't it, I mean, I haven't done it before, but
Right.
isn't it just like a couple of sentences that just says,
Mhm.
we're, prospect.
I mean, it's a half an hour, to do
Well, but
it.
if it's the same one every time, just change the pace.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a big deal.
Well, are there things that, like snippets that could be taken out of the newsletter, so we're not reinventing the wheel in
Right.
terms of creating content,
Mhm.
but just sharing that through the Facebook page? So, where would it be a matter of having to sit down and write something as much as just taking the time to post?
Yeah, I would think practically copy and paste the whole
Mhm.
newsletter. I would not, or not the newsletter, the Sunday.
The workday announcement.
Yeah.
Workday announcement.
Mhm.
Well, and there might be information, I mean, there's a lot of, it's a concept of content marketing where you provide information, the same information, a replication of what is in the newsletter on the Facebook page. If that's anything, we'd be willing to do, that would be helpful.
Well, the calendar of events is always updated with whatever the workday is, or the talk, or whatever the case may be. You can always go to the website and go calendar events, and then pull up the listing on that day and just copy it, and then paste that straight in. So you
Yeah,
don't have to do anything.
The thing we want to do is engage,
Right.
visitors, to give them a reason to come back and see what's going on. So that's where I think sharing that information and without recreating it would be helpful. So I don't know, Seth, if you would be able to take, like, each time the newsletter comes out, maybe.
I am not
post some
on
stuff.
social media. I have never been on social media, and I don't plan on ever going.
Okay then, for all the reasons that I know.
But I know I know we.
Well, I know that there's a couple
I
of
can-
prospects in the volunteer ranks that could possibly pick that up, and I think we'll have
Oh.
a conversation.
Yeah, why
That
don't you
is
put
not a
that
good
out to
idea.
the larger group, too?
Yeah, Linda,
Right.
Linda would be.
Yeah, one of our volunteers maybe would be
Yeah.
willing to
Yeah.
do that. That would be a great idea.
There's a
So
very
I
good-
will,
I'll
I
check
will,
on that.
I will attempt to do that before the next couple of work days in the meantime. No promises, but it's a scramble to get stuff together, as it is, so.
I could probably put something together, but you could post it. 'Cause you
Right.
manage the Facebook page?
Yeah, I do, yeah, but I mean, can have access.
It'd be helpful to engage our core volunteers as
Mhm.
well.
Right.
because We might find somebody that they wouldn't necessarily come to every workday for whatever reason, but that's something they can do.
Yeah, and
There's a
even
couple-
maybe,
Yeah.
there's a couple of people I think that would be really interested in that, and even posting things, posting pictures of our work days or some really
Yeah,
great.
Certainly Maria at the library, she posts everything everywhere. It'd be illogical.
Right, that's a very good idea, so
I
at the
agree.
next workday, we'll mention it to everybody.
Mhm. Well, we can put it in the newsletter,
Yeah.
you know, social media mogul,
Okay. All right, good. We've got a lot of great ideas. Anything else about?
I just
that?
wanted to mention, you said that Dana's surgery was rescheduled, but when that time comes, I think we should regroup so that you are not managing the workdays while he is recovering, because we want him to rest, right? So we
I
should
think the doctors want him to get out.
swing the axe. So I think that at our next meeting, we should discuss some type of structure so that you're not carrying the full load, okay?
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be great.
You guys okay
Okay.
with that?
You need a motion to?
No, we got visitor comments.
Visitor
Oh,
comments
sorry.
from the multitude, the masses. Nothing, okay, so, anyone, motion to
I make the
adjourn?
motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Okay.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.